Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsha Rishibhyo Namo Gurubhyaha. We were in the seventh Vakya of the third Brahmana in the fourth chapter, which is the Swayam Jyoti Brahmanam. So in this Swayam Jyoti Brahmanam, Yajnavalkya is teaching Janaka that this Atma is something other than this body, mind, sense complex. And this is being taught by using a certain, you can say, Shruti Sammata Tarka or an Anumana, where first it is shown that there is a requirement for a Jyotis or light for any activity to take place. And initially, these external lights are all mentioned for that purpose, like sun, moon, fire, etc. Now, those things are applicable in the waking. And so you see that there is a light which is other than the body, mind, sense complex, and which is required for all the activities which are taking place. Now, when all these external lights are all resolved, extinguished, still activity is taking place, your mind is active, an entire dream world is projected. So now what is the light which is being used or which is making all these activities possible? What is the light which makes all this possible? Means that was said as in the sixth, it was said that it is the Atma. Okay, even when everything else is extinguished or resolved, this Atma Jyoti is still there. Okay, Atma eva asya jyotihi, like this it was said. So from this it was pointed out that this Atma, which is again other than the body, mind, sense complex, and which is the one which is lighting up even the entire dream world, this was pointed out. And here the Anumana is that like even the sun, moon, etc., which are other than the body, mind, sense complex and which are lighting up. Similarly, a light is required for any activity to go on, and in this case, whatever light which is there also has to be other than the body, mind, sense complex. But this Atma Jyoti, another thing also is said is that what? It is not objectifiable like the sunlight or moonlight. Therefore, it is also abhautika. It is not only other than the body, mind, sense complex, but it is not an elemental. It is abhautika, or you can say it is not a physical light, but it is something which transcends all these things. So, in fact, when it is said that Atma itself is the light, what is this Atma? There can be a doubt. That is what is addressed in this seventh Vakya of this Brahmana. Katamaha Atmeti. Because generally what people think is that the body itself is conscious, okay, or the mind is conscious, or prana, like this, or the indriyas themselves are conscious, like this. There are different views are there, because the self itself is taken as a conscious being. But where is this consciousness, or what is really conscious? If you take, there is some doubt is there. Now that is where the seventh Vakya here clearly says that this Atma itself is Vijnana Mayaha, means Vijnana Sadrishaha, you can say, a Vijnana Prayaha, something which is similar to this Buddhi, because it is taken as similar to Buddhi. Why? Because it is very, very closely associated with the Buddhi, correct? It's normal people are not able to separate this Atma and the Buddhi and know them. The Viveka Buddhi is not there. And it is there Praneshu Hridyantar Jyotihi, it is said. So it is there among prana. Here is the indriyas only is mentioned as prana. Amongst all the indriyas, it is there, and also it is there inside your hridaya. Here is the intellect or the buddhi only. So it is not even buddhi, it is not your indriyas, it is not the body, but it is something which is there in the hridaya guha. Okay. So this is available, the light which is available inside your intellect means it is not the intellect also. So this way, this pratyagatma is shown as the light which is facilitating all the activities. And then it is further said that what, even though this atma, its swarupa is that it is nishkriya, nishkala, nirguna. So basically it doesn't have any activity or any qualities. Still it is taken to have all the dharmas of the body mind sense complex. So the anyonya adhyasa is shown here. The body mind sense complex, although they are jada, they are taken to be conscious. And atma, even though it is not having any guna, but atma is supposed to have taken the gunas of the body mind sense complex. That is the anyonya adhyasa. And because of that alone, this adhyastha or the upahita chaitanya, we have to say, correct? The body mind sense complex or the upadhi chaitanya by itself does not go anywhere, does not move, does not act. But the chaitanya which is conditioned by the body mind sense complex, that is the one which is now like ubhau lokau sancharati and all it is said here, dhyayati iva. It is as though thinking, it is as though having different activities, lelayati iva, and that atma which is vijnana mayaha, correct, which is similar, which has attained similarity with the buddhi because they both are together. Like even the example of money and all is given here, correct? When you put the money into the, money means the jewel or some kind of a precious stone which is bright, you put it into the milk, it is still, it makes the milk itself of that color, correct? If it is a ruby or something, it can make, if it is a really bright ruby, it can make the milk red color, or it is some kind of emerald means it can make it green. Like this, the, and both of them look together. You are not able to differentiate them. Okay. Like this atma and buddhi are very, very closely tied together, you can say. They are mixed up, and then so that conditioned chaitanyam is the one which is also appearing as the dream world and all that, and it lights that up also. When it becomes the dreamer and the dream world, it transcends this imam lokam means this waking world. Okay. And again from dream world, when it again goes back into sleep, and when you wake up, again the dreamer and dream world, they are all given up, and then the waker comes into the picture. So like this, you can see that both the waking and the whatever, the waker and the waking world, dreamer and the dream world, all of them are lighted up by the same pratyagatma, the inner self, which is of the nature of consciousness or jyotis. And since these two things are like one is given up, another is taken up, correct? So waking, you give up, you enter sleep, and then you can go into dream. Then you give up the dream, you enter into sleep, again you wake up, or directly from dream also you can wake up. So from this, what is known is that there has to be a light, a consciousness which is other than the waker and the waking world and the dreamer and the dream world. And this consciousness is you, and therefore it transcends both these waking world and dream world and waker and dreamer, all these things. So it is atikramati is the word used here. You can take it as transcends. And mrityoho rupani atikramati means what? So Mrityu here, Bhashyakara takes it as, in fact, we came up to that point in the Bhashya here. So Mrityu here means karma avidyadihi. So Mrityoho Rupani means Mrityu is taken as avidya only. Okay, avidya and karma, etc. Papa punya. In fact, those avidya and papa punya we cannot directly see, correct? It's not available for pratyaksha. Therefore, you can only know it through the body mind sense complex, which are a manifestation of your karma, we have to say, correct? And if you take yourself as the body mind sense complex, that itself is due to only avidya. Due to avidya alone, you are taking yourself as a karta, and only if you are a karta, you have all this papa punya and karma, and because of that, you keep on taking different bodies. So the karyakarana sanghata is the rupa, Bhashyakara says. Karyakarnani eva asya rupani. So the mrityu is really karma and avidya, but the karma, papa punya and avidya are not visible, correct? In fact, both ignorance and knowledge are not visible. That is a problem in teaching, correct? we are teaching students, but we don't know really what is happening. Of course, we can still, based on some linga, correct? Based on some signs and indications only, we can know whether somebody has really understood and all that. So many times in the class, that's why we have to see the people also. By looking at somebody's eyes or whatever, you have a certain indication that whether they really get it or not. So otherwise, both ignorance and knowledge are not really visible to us. We have to only go by some other indications and all that. So here the rupa of the mrityu is only this body mind sense complex, and but you transcend that all the time as atma, correct? Because this waking body mind sense complex you transcend and go into dream, and there you take a different body mind sense complex. And dream also, once you give up, that body mind sense complex is gone, and then you transcend, and then you can come to waking. But by understanding and analyzing these two, you can really understand that both of them are not intrinsic to you, correct? Because they come and go. Whatever comes and goes cannot be your nature. So you transcend these things, and that is your Atma Swarupa. Your Swarupa is something which never leaves you, correct? It is always the same. So you are the conscious being. There is no change in that. That is the invariable always, and that's what is your reality. Now, up to this point, Bhashyakara has commented on the actual this Upanishad Vakya itself. Okay, so he has explained everything. Now, the Buddhist is coming. In the previous sixth Vakya, we dealt with the Charvaka, because the Charvakas do not accept, again, they also do not accept an Atma other than the body mind sense complex. Now, we argued with them there. Now, we are arguing with the Buddhist. Now, why Bhashyakara has taken up Buddhist here is because here the Atma is presented as Vijnana Mayaha, correct? Vijnana Prayaha or something similar to the Buddhi. So here what we have to understand is most of the Buddhists actually look upon this Atma or Chaitanyam as only the Buddhi for them. Okay. So they also, they are called Vijnana Vadin, like this, like that there is a Buddhist is there, or Yogachara Buddhism it is called, where they, but for them that Vijnana itself is Kshanika. Kshanika means what? It is momentary, correct? It is momentary, transitory. So it is Kshanikam, only for a Kshana it is there. That is why it is called Kshanika. Kshana means a very small unit of time. Okay. And that only for a kshana or a moment it is there, and then again it comes, so that is the momentary consciousness, which is the buddhi, correct? Because the buddhi vrittis are really kshanika, because when I see a pot, there is a pot vritti is there. Then when I see a table, there is a table vritti is there. And then when I see a cloth, there is a cloth with a cloth vritti is there, correct? There is a ghata vritti, pata vritti, like that you can say different vrittis are happening, and they are all momentary. And only if the manovritti is momentary, you can actually cognize different things, because the mind has to take the form of different objects, and by that alone the cognition takes place, which is fine. But the Buddhists are saying this momentary buddhi vritti itself is Chaitanyam, that is Atma for them. In fact, there is a slight difference also of views. There are four types of Buddhists we encounter, or even in the Bhashyakara's writings, they are taken up as Purva Pakshis. So there are slight differences in their views also. In fact, the first one is called Vaibhashika. The Vaibhashikas actually accept external objects. So they say that the external object is as real as the Vijnanam, which is subject, and so they can be known through Pratyaksha. So these external objects are directly known by the Vijnana, which is again momentary only for them also, but they accept an external object. Then the Sautrantika, like that, there is another Buddhist is there. They say that external objects are there, but they cannot be known directly because all you know is your own buddhi vritti only, correct? So they say, but still for the buddhi vritti to be there, the external object has to be there. Only when the external object is there, the buddhi takes the form, and then that is lighted up. And for them, the buddhi itself is both its vritti and whatever it is lighting up, both are one and the same for them. Okay, the avabhasaka, avabhasya, because normally we say the buddhi vritti or the mano vritti is the avabhasya or the one which is lighted up, and the atma, for us atma is the avabhasaka or the one which one which illuminates it. But for them both are same. It's all kshanika vijnanam only. But still the Sautrantika says that we can do Anumana. By Anumana we accept an external object, but it cannot be Pratyaksha. That is their Siddhanta. Then there is a Kshanika Vijnanavadin or Yogachara. Yogachara Buddhism is very popular. In fact, the first two, Vaibhashika and Sautrantika, are also known as Theravada Buddhism. Theravada Buddhism, I think. Or they are also called Hinayana sometimes, but Hinayana is a term which they actually reject. They themselves, because Hinayana means it is like a lower vehicle and all that, but they don't want to consider themselves as lower or anything like that. So it is called Theravada Buddhism, which is mostly in Sri Lanka and Myanmar. All these places they have that Buddhism. Then the Mahayana Buddhism is more Tibetan Buddhism. So in the Mahayana, both Yogachara and Madhyamika are there. Yogachara is also called Kshanika Vijnanavadin, where they do not accept any external objects at all. So for them, everything is only mind, or they are called idealist, subjective idealist and all that in English, or idealism it is called. Means mind alone is there really. You cannot establish anything as external, okay, according to them. Because whatever you see is alone, it is there. When you don't see something, it is not there. Because always they say that to differentiate two things, you should be able to see them differently, correct? Like I say, my left hand and right hand are different. I should be able to see my right hand without the left hand, and I should be able to see the left hand without the right hand, correct? Sometimes you may see it together also. But since I am able to see, cognize them separately, then only I can say it is separate. But you can never separate out an object from the object consciousness, okay? Because you always cognize an object, and whenever you cognize an object, the object consciousness is always there. You cannot separate out the object without the consciousness being there, nor you can have only the consciousness without any object being there. This is their logic. So you cannot have any pratyaksha or anumana really to establish that object and its consciousness are separate. They are always together. Since you cannot really cognize them as separate, So you don't have to accept that there is a separate object other than the vijnana or consciousness or awareness, which itself is a mind only for them. And that vijnana is kshanika. That is the Yogachara Buddhism. The kshanika vijnana means what? It is momentary. So, when you look at the part, then there is a part consciousness, and along with that, the entire world also they say every moment, whatever cognition you are having, that cognition along with the entire world is born and then it dies. Then again it is born when you cognize something else and it dies. But then they also accept some samskara, which is weird, because if you say like this, one of the objection which the Vedantin generally makes is that then how memory is possible? How can you recollect something? Okay, this also recognition, memory and recognition are not possible if something is truly, if there is no invariable between two cognitions. The memory and recognition, all these things will become impossible. But even though they say that the vijnana is kshanika, they say that samskara can carry forward and all that, which is a little weird. Okay, but that is their siddhanta. Then there is a madhyamika is there, where madhyamika does not accept both the object and subject. Everything is unreal or maya. Shunyam alone is there. So they don't accept even the kshanika vijnana. That also they resolve and say that whatever is there is only, it is all, this shunya alone is there, which is again independent of both subject and object, and that is the reality. Nairatmyam also they talk about, means there is no real atma or anything. Sometimes some people actually try to equate the shunya of Buddhism with the Brahman of Vedantins. I don't know how valid it is, okay, because people want to find uh, whatever they want to reconcile different differences and all that. But if you go and talk to a real Buddhist, they don't accept anything like Brahman or anything. They are very clear about that there is no self. And so I don't know how the two can be reconciled really. But that is it. So here, in fact, Bhashyakara doesn't try to reconcile with them and all that. He actually takes up all these Buddhists and he is trying to present their views and then refute them. So here, let us see here. Nanu nasti eva dhiya samanam anyat dhiyaha avabhasakam atma jyoti. So this is the Buddhist is coming in here. So till now we said that there is this atma jyoti which is other than the dhi, correct? Which is other than the buddhi, and that alone, when it comes into contact with the buddhi, then that the sadrishaha and all that we talked about, vijnana mayaha or vijnana prayaha, that alone, then whatever it takes up all this body mind sense complex and it keeps on going. That is the samsara. That's what we talked about. But now the Buddhist is negating that or refuting that. He says nasti eva dhiya samanam anyat dhiyaha avabhasakam atma jyoti. So he doesn't accept this atma jyoti. Atma jyoti hi nasti eva. There is no separate atma jyoti which is similar to the buddhi and which is the one and which is separate, but which is separate and which is the one which is illumining the buddhi. Correct? That's what we say. So dhiyaha samanam nasti. There is nothing similar to this buddhi, and also dhiyaha anyat avabhasakam nasti. There is nothing other than this buddhi which is illumining this buddhi. That also we don't accept. Both are wrong. Therefore, there is no separate Atma Jyoti other than the buddhi. Now he explains that further. What? Dhi vyatirekena pratyakshena va anumanena va anupalambha. So why do I say that? Because other than the buddhi, I cannot really establish this your Atma Jyoti by either pratyaksha or anumana, he says. So I don't see any other Atma Jyoti other than the buddhi. I cannot directly perceive it, nor I can use any valid anumana to establish that. In fact, he is even saying it is like what? Yatha anya tatkala eva dvitiya dhihi. So when one cognition takes place, even at that time also I don't see a second buddhi or anything, correct? There is only one buddhi. through which you are cognizing something. Of course, after that cognition, in the next moment, the second dhi comes. But at the same time, tatkala, at the same time, there are not two buddhis, there is only one buddhi. Therefore, if there is only one buddhi or one conscious entity, why are you talking about a separation of the intellect or buddhi and atma or consciousness? I don't see anything like that. Okay, there is no pratyaksha or anumana which can be used. And then further, he is taking up the analogy with Bhashyakara gave, correct? About the pot and the light reflecting from the pot. So yettu avabhasya avabhasakayoho anyatvepi viveka anupalambat sadrishyamiti ghatadi alokayoho. So some people may not be able to differentiate when the light is actually reflecting off the pot. You may think that the pot itself is luminous, correct? But in reality, pot is not really luminous. It is only the light which is reflecting from the pot which makes it shine. The pot itself cannot really shine by itself. It is not its nature. But then there can be confusion. Some people who are not able to discriminate between the pot and the light may take them as one entity or consider that pot itself is shining, correct? Because there is a similarity is there. So avabhasya avabhasakayoho means what? That which is illumined and the illuminator. They are different, correct? Anyatve, even though they are two different things, because in this case pot is the illumined, the light is the illuminator. So they are separate. Even though they are separate, viveka anupalambat means what? The discriminatory knowledge is not there. Therefore, sadrishyam iti, they both are taken to be similar, and you think that pot itself is shining. So ghatadi alokayoho sadrishyam means they are taken as similar. Let it be, he says, tatra bhavatu. This analogy I accept. Why? Because anyatvena alokasya upalambhat ghatadehe, because the aloka or the light I can see separately from the pot. So when I am able to see the pot separately and the light separately, I understand that they both are different. But in some cases, I may not be able to differentiate. Some people may not be able to differentiate it and all that, which is fine. Because I can really cognize the light and the pot separately, and together also they are there. Therefore, even when they are together, I can accept that they are different. So that's what he is saying. Samslishtayoho sadrishyam bhinnayoho eva. So samslishta means that which is connected very closely or intermingled. All that you can say. Samslishtaha means something which is intermingled. Even though they are different, they are perceived similarly. Okay, as one. So bhinnayoho sadrishyam samslishtayoho. I accept that. Okay, even though they are different, they can be cognized together, and their difference may not be cognized. But in this case, he says, in this case means in the case of the buddhi and the atma jyoti, nacha tatha iha ghatadehe iva dhiyaha avabhasakam jyotihi antaram pratyakshena va anumanena va upalabhamahe. But in the case of the buddhi and the atma jyoti, so the buddhi is the avabhasya or the illuminated, and the atma jyoti is the illuminator, correct? Their difference, antaram, okay, is not available to me by either pratyaksha or anumana. Pratyakshena va anumanena va. So that's what he already told that, but now he is again explaining. Even though you gave an analogy, I may accept the analogy, but your analogy is off the mark. You cannot use that analogy to establish this. Okay, that's what he is pointing out. So by pratyaksha or anumana, I cannot establish that this Atma Jyoti is separate. And so what is his Siddhanta then? That he is giving here. Dihi eva, he chit swarupa avabhasakatvena swakara vishayakara cha. So he says the buddhi alone, ke dihi eva, he, and because he says, or because of this, he yasmat we can take here. This the alone is what? Chit swarupa avabhasakatvena and swakara vishayakara cha. Means it is the chit swarupa is the buddhi alone has the nature of consciousness, and that alone shines as the subject, or swakara here means as the subject and also as the object. So it is both the subject and the object, which is the buddhi alone is there. You don't have to separate it out. Okay. Therefore, what? Tasmat na anumanatah napi pratyakshataha dhyah avabhasakam jyotihi shakyate pratipadayitum vyatiriktam. Therefore, finally he says that what? Neither by anumana, by inference, nor by pratyaksha, direct perception, we can establish that there is a illuminator for the buddhi, dhyah avabhasakam, the illuminator, a jyoti or a light which is actually shining and which is illuminating the buddhi, that cannot be shown as something which is separate, which is there. So shakyate pratipadayitum vyatiriktam, it cannot be shown as separate, that there is a separate jyoti which is illumining the buddhi, that cannot be shown either by inference or direct perception. So this is one view. This is the view of the, you can take it as Vaibhashika and Sautrantika, because they accept external objects. So they are accepting that there is a part and there is a light which are separate and all that. Okay. So the analogy they accept, but they do not accept the conclusion thereof. Now the Yogachara Buddhist is coming into the picture. So he does not accept even the analogy itself. Okay. Or that the pot and the lamp are separate also, he doesn't accept the light. So yadapi drishtanta rupam abhihitam avabhasya avabhasakayoho bhinnayoho eva ghatadi alokayoho sanyuktayoho sadrishyamiti tatra abhyubhagama matram asmabihi uktam. So now the Yogachara person comes and says, whatever drishtanta we discussed now, correct? Where we said that there is a illuminator and the illuminated. The illuminated is the pot, illuminator is the lamp or whatever light, and then they are together, correct? And when they are together, they can be sometimes cognized as one or similar. But this only is only abhyugama matram, means what? For the sake of argument, we accepted that. Okay, this was said only provisionally, you can say. But we don't really even accept that. So that's what he is saying now. Natu tatra ghatadi avabhasya avabhasakau bhinnau. So now he is saying that there is no separate ghata or the light which is illuminating it. They are not bhinna, they are not separate. Okay. So then what is the reality? Paramarthataha tu. So in reality, what is that? Ghatadihi eva avabhasatmakaha salokaha. He says the part itself is illumining or self-luminous. Okay, because for him everything is vijnana only. There is no external object or anything. So the vijnana alone is appearing as the part, means part itself is self-luminous. And even the light also is like that. Both the part and the light and everything else is all, they are all self-luminous only because the vijnanam alone is appearing as the object. There is no separate external object. And he says that then the Kshanika portion also he is explaining now. Anyaha hi ghatadihi utpadyate vijnana matrameva saloka ghatadi vishayakara karam avabhasate. So the vijnana alone, this, as I told you, the consciousness alone is taking the form of the light and also the part, etc. Okay, it is taking that form and then it is shining as though like that. Okay. And even that what? Anyaha ghatadihi utpadyate means what? So you have one cognition, and once that cognition is gone, another cognition comes. another cognition comes, another cognition comes. So like this, it is also momentary. Along with the momentary consciousness, the objects are also momentary, correct? Because the objects also are gone, because only consciousness alone is appearing as the object also. So when the consciousness itself is momentary, so he says that there is no real ghata also. It is all only a flow of consciousness. So first one ghata consciousness is there, then that is gone, another ghata consciousness comes, another ghata consciousness comes, like this. Anyaha anyaha hi ghatadihi, ghata adipadat, any other object also. Okay. The entire objective world along with the subject, everything is momentary. It is all only this buddhi alone. It is flickering. So you can call it as flickering consciousness also, or momentary consciousness theory. So that is their siddhanta. So the vijnana alone is appearing as everything, and it is momentary. So this being the case, yada evam, so this being the case, what? Tada, therefore, na, then what? Na bhashyaha drishtantaha asti. There is no external drishtanta or example even you can produce, because we say that there is no external objects only, because you cannot establish separately that consciousness is there separately and an object is there separately. For that, you have to be able to perceive the object without consciousness and consciousness without the object, but that itself is not possible. Therefore, there is no example which you can even give. Okay, whatever ghata aloka example and all you give and all is not acceptable to us. Okay, because what? Why? Because vijnana swalakshana matratvat sarvasya. So everything is only vijnana. Vijnana alone, and it's everything is characterized by vijnana alone. Okay, vijnana is the characteristic of everything, and therefore it is not separate from the vijnanam, and there is nothing external really which is there. Therefore, what? Evam, in this manner, tasyaiva vijnanasya grahya grahaka akarata malam. So this should be akarata malam. It should not be akaratam alam. That is wrong. They have actually separated out wrongly. So what these Kshanika Vijnanavadins also say is, this grahya grahaka means what? Subject object, basically, correct? Cognizer and the cognized. So the Vijnana, there is only one Vijnana, but that itself is appearing as both the subject and the object, or the cognizer and the cognized object. Like even in the dream, you can say, correct? Dream is a standard example for them. So, but that is the malam, means that is a impurity. That is the impurity which is parikalpya, means what? That has been superimposed on the Vijnana. The subject object are all only superimposed, which is a mala, which is an impurity. But then that has to be purified. It means punaha vishuddhim parikalpayanti. Again, you have to you have to purify that, but that also is really a parikalpana only. That is also like even we also in some way say that, correct? Both, there is no na baddhaha na mokshaha and all we say. Na bandhuhu. So na nirodho na chotpattihi. Like this, the Mandukya Karika also is there. Something similar here. Here they are saying that the subject object are all only malam, and again it has to be purified, and that is moksha. Everybody talks about some kind of a ignorant dasha, or the ajnana dasha, and jnana dasha also is there, correct? Or there is a baddha avastha and a moksha avastha. So they talk about nirvana and all that. So that is the punar vishuddhim parikalpayanti, means once you purify, or once you know that you are neither the subject object and you are only the kshanika vijnana, that is moksha for them. Now, so that's what he says that tat grahaka grahya grahaka vinirmuktam vijnanam swachhi bhutam kshanikam vyavatishthate iti kechit. So Bhashyakara here, kechit means he is saying some Buddhists now say what? Actually, there is a Kshanika Vijnana which is free of subject object duality. There is no subject-object duality really. And but the Vijnana alone, the subject-object duality is a malam on the Vijnanam. You have to know the Vijnana as free, as Vishuddha, as pure and untainted by the subject-object duality. But that Vijnana is still what? It is pure, Swachi Bhutam, but it is Kshanika, it is momentary. And that's how it is. Kshanikam Vyavatishtate iti kechiti. So some people say that this momentary consciousness alone is there, and that has to be known as free from the subject-object duality, and that is moksha, that is nirvana. But then that is one Yogachara Buddhism. Then there are others, Madhyamika. Tasyapi Shantim Kechid Ichhanti means they want to resolve even that Kshanika Vijnana. Okay. Tadapi Vijnanam Samvritam Grahya Grahaka Amsha Vinirmuktam Shunyameva Ghatadi Bhashya Vastuvate iti apare Madhyamika Achakshate. Now the Yogachara says that there is no external object, correct? The external objects are not there. Now the Madhyamika comes and says, even the whatever the Yogachara proposed, that there is a Kshanika Vijnana, which is actually free from the subject-object duality, correct? Even that is not there. That is also hidden, or that is also really not there. It has to be resolved, and Shunyam alone is there. Samvritam means you can say it is hidden in one way. Okay, that also has to be resolved. Samvritam means it has to be resolved, and there is actually nothing really there. Shunyameva, even that Vijnana also is not there really, and Shunya alone is there, and that has to be known. But I don't know who knows this Shunya. There is a problem there also. How can you negate the knower? That is a problem. Anyway, so here the others, here Bhashyakara even names them, correct? Iti apare madhyamika achakshate. The other three Bhashyakara did not name them, but he has taken the other three as only one, because all of them view the subject similarly. Because here the discussion is the subject, correct? The Atma Jyoti, which is the subject. Although the other three Buddhists have differences with reference to how they view the objective world, they view the subject similarly. For all of them, subject is Vijnanam, or the Vijnana, the Kshanika Vijnana is there, and it is free from subject-object duality and all that. Okay, and that's what has to be cognized. So that way he is only showing it as two, but although based on how they view the object, you can look upon them as three more types of Buddhists. So here, so like this, Bhashyakara has now presented the Buddhist view, and now he is going to refute that. So sarva etaha kalpanaha buddhi vijnana avabhasakasya vyatiriktasya atmajyotishaha apanhavat asya shreyo margasya pratipaksha bhuta vaitikasya. So now Bhashyakara makes a general statement here to start with. He says that they are all vaidikasya shreyo margasya pratipaksha bhutaha. Means what? There is the Vaidika marga is there, correct? The whatever the Upanishad is teaching, and the Upanishad is teaching you the ultimate good, or it is the one which is giving you moksha. The Shreyo marga means Shreyas and Preyas and all we talk about, correct? In the Kathopanishad also, these two words are used, and the Shreyas is another word for moksha only. And whatever these Buddhists are all teaching, it is all contradictory to whatever the Veda is teaching. Okay, it is Pratipaksha Bhuta only. It is opposed to that. And why? Because they negate the Atma Jyotihi, Atma Jyotisha Apanhavat. Apanhava means they deny. They deny that there is a separate Atma Jyoti other than the body, mind, sense complex. For them, Buddhi alone is the Vijnanam. Okay, so they deny that there is a separate avabhasaka or illuminator of the buddhi. So buddhi vijnana avabhasakasya vyatiriktasya atmadhyotishaha apanhavat. So they deny that there is a separate illuminator of the buddhi, and they have their own kalpana, he says. All this kalpana which they have done, it is all against the Vaidika marga. and it is against this Shreyas also. The ultimate good for you or moksha, it's not, it is all only, it's not going to give you moksha really. And again here, first he is taking up those who accept the external objects, the Vaibhashika and the Sautrantika. So he says, Tatra yesham bhakyaha arthaha asti tan prati uchyate. So those who accept that there is, for whom there is an external object, okay, and it is there like that, those who accept that, to them we now say this. What? So he is trying to refute their arguments. What is that? He says, Na tavat swatma avabhasakatvam घटादेहे तमसी अवस्थितः घटादिः तावत् न कदाचिदपि स्वात्मना अवभास्यते प्रदीपादि आलोक संयोगेन तु नियमेनेन एव अवभास्यमानः दृष्टः सालोकः घटः इति. So now what Bhashyakara is saying is, see, the other three Buddhists, they all say that even though some of them accept external objects, they also say that Ghata itself is self-luminous. Okay. Now for this, Bhashyakara is saying that Ghata and all etc. cannot be self-luminous. It has to be lighted up. Because why? If the pot is there in darkness, correct? Tamasi avasthitaha ghatadihi tavat na kadachitapi swatmana avabhasyate. It doesn't shine by itself. If a pot is there in darkness, it doesn't shine by itself. So you cannot say swatma avabhasakatvam. The ghata etc., pot etc., which are jada really, they can shine by themselves. They can be self-luminous. You cannot say that, because if the pot or any other object which is there in darkness, it doesn't reveal itself, correct? It doesn't become evident. It doesn't reveal itself. In fact, it is revealed only when there is a light. So, pradipadi aloka sanyogena tu. So, only when it comes with in contact with pradipa, etc., lamp, then only what? When it comes in contact with the light of the lamp, then what? Sanyogena tu niyame naiva avabhasyamanaha drishtaha. So, it is by a rule, okay, that only when there is a illuminator, a light, then only it becomes known, it becomes evident, it becomes illuminated. So that's what is seen. So avabhasyamanaha drishtaha. So salokaha ghataha iti means what? There is a light, the pot is lighted up. Only when the pot is lighted up, then it is seen as a rule, correct? It is never known, or it cannot reveal itself when it is there in darkness. Okay, further what? Samslishtayoho api ghata alokayoho anyatvam eva punaha punaha slamshleshe visleshe cha vishesha darshanat. Okay, so even though whenever we cognize the pot, both the pot and light are cognized together, correct? Only when the pot is illuminated by the light, we see the pot. We cognize the pot. So they are mixed up. They are intermingled. Samslishtaha. Even though Gata and Aloka, the pot and the light are together and they are cognized together, but what we can still know that they are different. They are two different things. Why? Because when you remove the lamp, pot is no more cognized. When you bring in the lamp, it is cognized. Like this, this Anvaya Vyatireka we say, correct? So by Anvaya Vyatireka, we can understand that when the illuminator is there, then this is illumined. When the illuminator is not there, it is not illumined. Therefore, the illuminator and the illuminated are different. That we can establish by that. Okay, that's all he is saying. That is the Vishesha Darshana. Okay, Samsleshe means they are together. Vishleshe means when the lamp is removed, they are not together. Then there is a difference between the two, correct? When they are together, only it is shown, or it is cognized. When the light and pot are not together, it is not cognized. Therefore, there is a difference or a vishesha. By cognizing this vishesha, we can understand that they both are different. They are not the same. Like even Rajju Ghatayoho iva. like even the rope and the pot. See, see, rope and pot also can be together, correct? In fact, I don't know how many of you have taken bath in a well and all that. When we were young, we had well, and we used to tie the rope on a ghatam only, correct? Of course, it is not a clay pot, but it is more like a metal pot, correct? Like a brass pot or something. Then you will leave, you will, that pot will go inside the well, you take the water, you take bath and all that. There the rope and the pot are together. That doesn't mean they are one and the same, correct? Because we can also remove the pot and the rope separately and cognize them. That way we know that they are different. Like that also, here also the aloka, the light and the pot are separate. So anyatvecha vitirikta avabhasakatvam. So they are separate. Being separate, they can be seen separately also. In the case of Rajju and Kata, similarly here also. Therefore, what na swatmana eva swam atmanam avabhasayati. Therefore, the pot itself, by itself, it cannot reveal itself. Okay, it cannot. It is not self-luminous. The pot itself cannot reveal itself. It requires a revealer or an illuminator like light. So now, but the Purvabakshi comes in now. He says, Nanu Pradipaha Swatmanam Eva Avabhasayan Drishtaha iti. So now he is shifting. He says, okay, leave the pot. But what about the lamp? Lamp does not require another lamp or anything. It is able to reveal itself, he says. So the lamp is able to reveal itself. Nanu Pradipaha Swatmanam Eva Avabhasayan Drishtaha. So it is able to light itself up, and then it is seen also. It is cognized. It doesn't require another Pradipaha. Therefore, what? Nahi Ghatadivat Pradipa Darshanaya Prakashantaram Upadadate Laukikaha Tasmat Pradipaha Swatmanam Prakashayati. So he says, like the Ghata, for seeing the Pradipa, you don't require another Prakasha or another light. It is not required. You don't have to gain, or you don't have to have another light. That is seen in the Laukikaha by the people. Therefore, what? The light reveals itself. Light is self-luminous, he says. But Bhashyakara doesn't accept this also. He says, Na, why? Avabhasyatva avishesha. Even the light also is only an object of cognition, correct? Whether it is a part or a light, both are only, they are all only objects of cognition. That way, there is no difference. That way, they have to be lighted up by the consciousness. Consciousness alone, to the consciousness alone, it becomes evident whether it is light or whether it is part. There is no difference. Both are only avabhasya. They are all only known objects. Okay. So, yadyapi pradipaha anyasya avabhasaka. So, even though the lamp can reveal the part, swayam avabhasatmakatvat. Okay. Because it is by itself, it is of the form of light. Okay. It is able to illuminate something. Even then what? Tathapi Vitirikta Chaitanya Avabhasyatvam na vyabhicharati. Even then, it has to be cognized only by something other than the lamp itself, which is the consciousness or Chaitanya. So, the lamp or whatever source of light it is, that also is only an object of knowledge to the knowing consciousness, and that consciousness is separate from this light. So, you cannot say that the light is self-luminous or anything. In that manner, the pot and the lamp do not differ. Na vyabhicharati means they do not differ in the because both are only objects of knowledge. So na vyabhicharati ghatadivadeva. It is like ghata only. Lamp also is like ghata. So yada cha evam tada vitirikta avabhasyatvam tavat avashyam bhavi. So if since this is like this, therefore what? Then you have to accept that even light is only known through something which is other than itself. Yatirikta avabhasyatvam means the something which is known through something other than itself. Okay. So all objects are known by a consciousness which is other than themselves. Okay. Vitirikta. That you have to now accept. Avashyam bhavi means what? It has to be necessarily accepted. Okay. So even this, again the Purvapakshi is coming. Nanu yatha ghataha chaitanya avabhasyatve api vitiriktam alokantaram apekshate natu evam pradipaha अन्यम आलोकांतरम अपेक्षते तस्मात् प्रदीपः अन्य अवभास्यः अपि सन् आत्मानं घटं च अवभासयति. So now he still maintains that, see, even though Ghata is known by consciousness, okay, Ghataha Chaitanya Avabhasyatve api, it requires something like a lamp, correct? A light, a source of light. So Vyatiriktam Alokantaram Apekshate. So it depends on the some other light for it to be known. Fine. But that is not the case with the lamp, he says. Natu evam pradipaha anyam alokantaram apekshate. The lamp does not depend on another source of light or anything to reveal itself. Therefore, what? Tasmat pradipaha anya avabhasyaha api. Even though it is known by another conscious entity, avabhasyaha api san atmanam ghatancha avabhasayati. So even though it is known by another consciousness, you say, but it is what? It actually reveals itself and it also reveals the part. Like this, he is maintaining that. So from this, he is trying to show that it is like some kind of, all these objects are also self-luminous and all that, which Bhashyakara is not going to accept. So we'll continue this in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ओम शांति शांति शांति. हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरि ओम.